Right, in this video, I'm going to talk through the first few sections of Chapter 6 on categorical syllogisms. We're going to go through A through C. I have a couple other videos which walk you through nuts and bolts of Venn diagrams and mood and figure problems, so might pass more lightly over that. But here's the general idea of a categorical syllogism. A categorical syllogism is a deductive argument, and it's constructed entirely of categorical propositions with exactly two premises and a conclusion. So in our example here, we've got exactly two premises, which are categorical propositions and a conclusion. All comedians are shy people. Some comedians are good actors. Therefore, some good actors are shy people. Now, some terminology you're going to need to know in order to be able to talk about categorical syllogisms. Every single categorical syllogism has three terms, and each term is mentioned exactly twice. Now, I'm going to start with the major and the minor term. How do you know which terms are the major terms and the minor terms? Well, you know because you look at the conclusion. All right, look at this conclusion. Some good actors are shy people. Now, that statement has a subject and a predicate. The subject is good actors. The predicate is shy people. The major term of a categorical syllogism is the predicate term of the conclusion. So in this case, it's shy people. The minor term is the subject term of the conclusion. In this case, good actors. And that leaves one more term, and the other term is going to be the middle term, and that's the term that appears in both of the premises, but not in the conclusion. So if you look back at this one, it's comedians. Comedians are the other missing link, the missing ingredient between the shy people and the good actors. So you got to know that. You got to be able to identify major term, minor term, and middle term. Start with the conclusion. The predicate of the conclusion is the major, the subject of the conclusion is the minor, and the term that appears only in the premises is the middle. So a standard form categorical syllogism meets three requirements. First of all the statements in it have to be standard form categorical propositions. The two occurrences of each term, because each term does appear twice in the syllogism, they have to be identical and have the same sense, the same meaning. Otherwise, you got equivocation going on. And here's perhaps the most important. The major premise has to come first. The minor premise has to come second, and then you got the conclusion last. Now, which premise is the major premise? Well, the major premise is going to be the premise that has the major term in it. And remember what the major term is? It's the predicate term of the conclusion. So the conclusion, some good actors are shy people. The shy people is the major term. You look for the premise with shy people in it. Oh, that's the major premise. It should come first. And then the same thing happens with the minor premise. So you have to know how to set up a categorical syllogism in this standard form. Next, we need to learn about mood and figure. The mood of a categorical syllogism is a string of three letters. And the three letters are going to be either A or E or I or O, some combination of those four letters. It's going to be a three-letter. And the idea is that each letter in that three-letter string tells you the form of categorical proposition in each successive line of the argument. So in this example, the major premise is all P are M. Now that's an A-type statement. All statements are A statements. The minor premise, second line, is all S or M. That's another A statement. And the conclusion is all S or P, another A statement. So this one's AAA. That second example, we've got a no PRM. That's an E-type statement. So, and then another E-type minor premise, and the conclusion is an O-type statement. So the mood is EEO. So the mood is going to be this 3-letter string, which tells you the type of categorical proposition in each line of the syllogism. What about figure? Well, the figure is the arrangement of the terms in the syllogism. And you've got 4 possibilities here, 4 figures. Really, it has to do with the arrangement of the middle term. Now, you remember that the middle term is the one that appears in both of the premises, but only in the premises. So there's 4 different places it can be. So if it's figure 1, then in that major premise, the middle term, which is the M term in this chart, the middle term is the subject of the major premise. And then it's the predicate of the minor term, of the minor premise. So that type is a figure 1. Figure 2, the middle term is the predicate in both premises. And for a figure 3, the middle term is the subject of both premises. And in a figure 4, the middle term is the predicate of the major and the subject of the minor. Now, you just got to memorize this. You got to memorize that chart, because you need to be able to look at any given categorical syllogism and know what figure it is. In fact, you need to be able to be told, make me a figure 2 syllogism, and you need to be able to do that, because you just got to have that pattern in your head. All right, now, if you have the mood and the figure of a categorical syllogism, it's like you got the template, the structure of the whole thing. You know exactly what it's going to look like. You just don't know what the terms actually are, but you know exactly where all the terms are going to go. There's actually 256 possible combinations of mood and figure. And you'll see how we do the mood and figure. They're combined. You've got like the mood, that three-letter string, dash, and then you've got the figure number. With just that information, you can like generate the whole thing. Now, there's 256 possible categorical syllogisms. Only 15 are going to be valid in the modern interpretation. Let me just do a small digression right here. Our PowerPoint is talking about the modern interpretation and the traditional interpretation. We're not going to study the traditional interpretation. It's nice. Aristotle came up with it. Appreciate him. He's an important guy. We're skipping it. I'm not doing the traditional interpretation. For our purposes, just worry about the modern. So 15 of these syllogism types are valid in the modern interpretation. So let's do an example here. What we want to do is identify the mood and the figure of this syllogism. So first of all, I'm going to identify the major, the minor, and the middle terms, right? So if I look at the conclusion, what is the subject? What's members of fitness clubs? That means members of fitness clubs that's the minor term. And that means that you can see the minor premise has the minor term in it. The predicate of the conclusion is swimmers. That's the major term, and that's why the premise about swimmers is the first one. It's the major premise, and that means that the middle term is what? That's right, lazy people. So first of all, we could do this in either order, but let's figure out the figure here. The middle term is in the predicate of the major premise, and it's in the subject of the minor premise. So what figure is that? That's right, it's figure 4. Now let's think about the mood. Okay, so what categorical proposition type is the major premise here? That's an E-type statement. What's the minor premise? That is an I. And the conclusion is an O, some are not. So what we've got is an EIO4 syllogism. That's the mood and the figure. So you're going to have to be able to do that kind of stuff for your homework. All right, I'm going to stop there and we'll carry on in the next video.